So, yeah, try it out. The other one. That's it. One is forward and the other is back. Okay, that's better?
Yes.
Okay. So, Constanza, as usual, you have 15 minutes to present. After your presentation, you have to take a seat and you'll receive questions by the commission. You may start.
Okay, good afternoon, professors and audience. I will present my research project. It is about possible implications of employing L1 for certain aspects of instruction on a group of EFL Chilean adult students' productive skills, specifically oral tasks. First, regarding the setting, as you can see, this is the location of Universidad Santo Tomás, and figure 2 shows the front of the university. Regarding the research problem, it arose because of the researcher's previous experiences in this topic, and since there are many sources of information about L1 literature. And then, regarding the scenario, it is an elementary 2 class of English. It was composed by 25 students. 20 of them were women and 5 of them men, and they were part of different programs here at the university, from nursing, nutrition, etc. And this class took place from Wednesday, every Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 10:50. Regarding the research problem, there are many authors that provide their own research and information. For example, this first author, Rodriguez 2007, explained how L1 can benefit or disrupt the student's learning process. And the second one explains the using translation as a part of the teaching practice. And the third one, the appropriateness of employing L1 to overcome reluctant attitudes towards EFL lessons. And the purpose is to determine whether it may have some implications or not on students' productive skills. The research question is, what might be the possible implications of employing L1 for certain aspects of instruction on these participants' productive skills, specifically in their oral tasks? And the objective is to determine the possible impact that using L1 may have on a group of EFL Chilean adult learners' development of certain oral tasks. Regarding the specific objective, first it was needed to identify and analyze the instances at which the teacher used L1 in the EFL class, and then to correlate the application of L1 and the student's abilities to carry out an oral task. Regarding this first author, L1 and mother tongue, which is the same, is the first language acquired by a child. So in this case, it is Spanish in the EFL class. Then, this author defines productive skills as the process in which the speaker produces utterances, in this case, spoken utterances. Then, a task is a classroom activity that involves interaction among the students. So, in this case, an oral task will be developed in pairs. And finally, pedagogical instruction is the transfer of learning from one person to another. The chosen paradigm is interpretive, since there are different explanations provided by other people and different interpretations. The approach, it is considered a mixed study, since it involves collecting and analyzing both forms of data in a single study. And this case research study aims to analyze a particular phenomenon within its real-life context. First, some issues occur because of time constraints. The instruments couldn't be applied and the date they were supposed to be applied. And regarding the procedure, first, according to the first specific objective, the instrument were field notes, and their purpose were to determine those instances at which the teacher uses L1, and as a result, I got translation, definition, and instructions. Regarding the second objective, an external researcher was needed. According to this author, he must be discreet in his observations so that the people under study don't get nervous. And a checklist was used to analyze the students' non-verbal elements when receiving L1 and L2 instruction. According to the researcher role, it was to record the students' answers, prioritize the students by providing positive head movements, and then at the end to complete a rubric. These were the 4 dimensions to be assessed. First, interactive communication, discourse management, non-verbal elements, and verbal skills. So these dimensions will determine whether a student is able or not to carry out a certain oral task. The first part was conducted in L1 for instructions, translation, and definitions, as it was previously identified. And then the part 3 was conducted by L2 exclusively. Okay, so according to the result the students obtained, they will classify as, for example, a highly capable student should exhibit all these traits, obtaining the maximum score, in this case 20 points. So according to their results, then a partially capable will exhibit 17 points, a moderately capable student at least 14 points, a highly capable 12 points, and a poorly capable 8 points, and not capable 8 points or less. So, according to the analysis, the student number 1 and the student number 2 obtained the highest scores, and after the application of L1, and then after the application of L2, those results decreased. On the other hand, the student 3 and 4 obtained the lowest score in the oral task after the application of L1, and it happened the same. The result decreased after the application of L2. So, even though the majority of the students were able to carry out the oral task, they obtained different levels of performance according to the rule. Student 1 was considered as highly capable, the same as the students 2, and student 3 and 4 were considered poorly capable. And regarding the analysis of L1, student 1 was moderately capable, student 2 highly capable, and finally student 3 and 4 were poorly capable students. According to the credibility, the results had to be reliable from the perspective of the participants, so they were able to see the results. Also, it must be considered the context and the ever-changing context. For example, do not change the instruments, the methodology, and then to confirmability that other researchers can achieve the same interpretations by the use of this instrument. As you can see here in figure number 3, student 1 and student 2 obtain the highest score. They obtain the same score, highest score in non-verbal and verbal elements. Then they obtain 4 points out of 5 in terms of interactive communication, and just 3 points out of 5 in terms of the discourse management. On the other hand, the student number 3 obtained just 3 points out of 5 in the first 3 dimensions, and she just obtained 2 points out of 5 in the final dimension. And finally, student number 4 obtained the maximum score with 3 points out of 5 in non-verbal elements, whereas in the other dimensions, she just obtained 2 points out of 5. And regarding the L2 instruction, the results decrease. As you can see in figure 3, student 1 obtained a maximum just in one element, and then obtain 4 points out of 5 in the interactive communication and non-verbal elements, and 3 points out of 5 in discourse management. In addition, student number 2 obtained just 3 points out of 5 in the first dimension, and just 3 points in the rest of the 2 points, out of 5 in the rest of the dimensions. Student 3 obtained the maximum score here in non-verbal elements, whereas in the other areas obtained 2 points out of 5. And the same happened with student number 4. The general findings represent that even though there is not a wide difference between the results, but there is a difference, and student 1 obtained, this is a comparison between L1 and L2 instruction. First student obtained 17 points out of 20, L1, and L2, 16 out of 8 points. Student 2 obtained the maximum score here, and then just 13 points out of 20 in L2 instruction. Student 3, the maximum score in L1, and just 9 points in L2 instruction, whereas the final student obtained just 9 points in L1 and L2 instruction. According to these research objectives, the application of L1 may have some implications on the students' development of the oral task. Some of these study limitations might be time constraints and the students' availability, as it is very difficult to meet the students and because of their schedules at university. And then some suggestions might be related to time and external factors that could be also students' availability. Regarding this research study, my strengths, I consider that I'm very observing and understanding. In fact, I got the same ideas from my other classmates of the phenomenon that occurs in the class. I also build rapport with my students and we establish a relationship, and I consider myself very committed with these seminar reports and progress, etc. Then, my weaknesses, organization, and ask for feedback, because sometimes I got confused with some elements and I didn't ask for other people's advice. And finally, my challenges are related to readings, because I realized that there is plenty of information regarding softwares that can analyze the data. And then, according to the internship experience, my strengths are very committed person, build rapport and adapt my activities according to the students' interests, preferences, learning styles. I really like to create new activities and take risks. In fact, this was the first time I applied a new strategy, and it was about ICTs. I used an application software. It was fantastic. And regarding my weaknesses, planning, I consider that it takes me a lot of time to plan, and sometimes I forgot my university duties. And also consider a plan B in case something doesn't really work in the classroom. And finally, some challenges are related to continue learning about teaching activities and methods so that I can hold my students' attention. That was my presentation.